lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Rejected Princesses by Jason Porath. This is Tales of History's Boldest, Heroines, Hellenes, and Heretics. This is a collection of mini biographies of some of the most kick-ass women in history. It's amazing and wonderful and incredibly awesome. Seriously, every single one of you should read this book. So Jason Porath was an animator for DreamWorks, and he and a bunch of his coworkers kind of had this running gig game thing going on where they would try to come up with the most absurd woman who would never become like a princess, who would never like become a Disney princess or something. Like you wouldn't make an animated movie about this. And he kept coming up with these women that his coworkers had never even heard of. So he decided to make a website with their stories and kind of collect them in one place. And then that became this book also. The website is still up and totally, you guys can check that out also. It's rejectedprincesses.com. But there's something incredibly awesome about having it in a book form. So each of these stories have a rating on them, like a 1 to 5 maturity level, and also trigger warnings on them. So some of these are gruesome and maybe not appropriate for everyone. Especially the last 3 were kind of traumatizing, even to me. So, fair warning on that. Not every story is for everyone. And if you're going to give this to a child, you should know that child and be prepared to talk with them about it. Know what you're giving your kids, basically. Even as someone who has an interest in obscure and bizarre history, there were still quite a few women here that I didn't know anything about, had never heard of them. So there are familiar names in here like Harriet Tubman and Joan of Arc, but they have stories in there that I didn't know, like Harriet Tubman being a spy, and Joan of Arc really, instead of going to the king and gaining his support, she actually gained, I think, his wife or his mother's support, and kind of the 2 women working together, which was cool. So there were sides to stories of even the people that I had heard of. So each of these stories has an illustration of the woman, and it kind of encapsulates their biography and what's going on. This one is from Marie Marvenier, who lived in France from 1875 to 1963. This is actually one of the most impressive in the book. So she was a massive athlete. She won tons of Olympic gold medals at a time when there weren't really that many medals to be won in the first place. And she even won a medal for all sports. Like, she's the only person to win a medal for literally all of the sports. Every single one of them. Yeah, she did that. She was also an avid flyer, and she joined World War I. So she became history's first bomber in World War I, female bomber. Which is interesting. And seriously, this is one of those women that makes you think, what the heck am I doing with my life? Because she did pretty much everything and excelled at pretty much everything. The stories in this book do a good job of spanning all of time and space, basically. All of history in the world. So we have tales in here from basically every continent where humans live. I don't think there's any stories for Antarctica. And going all the way from the ancient world to like modern women. So some of the women in here are actually princesses and like leaders, but most of them are like pirates or concubines, prostitutes. A couple of them are thieves and vigilantes. And it's just fun to read all these stories and the crazy things that happened in history, and to learn the stories that maybe we don't know and aren't talked about as much. Each of these biographies is told in this like conversational tone, which makes it easy to like get into and read. He makes modern allusions to things and definitely is talking straight to the readers, and I love it. Some of these get really gruesome, especially like the last 3 completely grossed me out. There's one about this woman called the Bloody Countess, who is one of the inspirations for Dracula, and some of the things that she supposedly did were really gruesome and making my stomach churn and not great. One of them has cannibalism in it, which I just stopped reading when I got to that. I'm like, I'm done. Don't care. Not reading the rest of this one. That's definitely one of my no-go areas. Um, there are women in here who are raped and abused, and there's a lot of fighting and violence going on in here. They do have those trigger warnings about like which stories involve abuse and sex and violence and self-harm. Um, so if you are particularly squeamish about any of the things, heed the warnings. They go from maturity levels from like what is a PG to up to what would be an R rated movie. Um, so also good guidance if you're not sure. And they do go gradually up, so they start off with all the ones and then go back to all the fives. I read this book straight through. It took me several months though. Like I didn't actually sit down and read every single entry, but I read them in the order that they were put in the book, which I thought was a good way to do it. And it's just kind of everything and everywhere. So some of them are like African chieftesses who are defending their countries from the invading Europeans. We have Chinese pirates. Um, one of the women, one of the Japanese women, is training ninjas. She had like an entire academy, like a finishing school set up to train other women how to be ninjas. An entire unit in Russia who were bombers, and just like how many missions they ran was like astounding, and like this group and their camaraderie between each other with each other. It's really awesome. I really love this book, and I'm really sad that I got out of the library because I have to give it back because I've had it for like 3 months and I've reached the maximum number of renewals. So it's definitely a book that I'm gonna have to buy. The back cover is pretty too, also. um, so yes, definitely check out this book, or at least go online to rejectedprincesses.com and read some of the stories there. I loved this book so much. A lot. Is totally 5 stars. Not even kidding, guys. Peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.